Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting on the 13th of August. Before you council, you see an agenda. I see nothing outside the kit, although there is a reference to a change coming to the council calendar. That's for display or information purposes. And I'll accept a motion, please, for the agenda. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? And contraminded? Carried. Thank you. We begin today's public meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Council July 30th minutes are there before we adopt and discuss. Can you advise of any errors or omissions? Seeing nobody presenting any errors or omissions, I'll call for a motion, please. Moved by Councillor Antle, second by Councillor Rice, that we adopt the minutes. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Almost got them approved. What number, sir? Is it you or Mr. Councillor Rice? Councillor Rice? Yeah, the name is incorrect.
The Mount Pearl resident was Eric Badcock. Had recently received some bad news. Actually, and he passed away since.
So noted, and I'll ask our staff if they would change that. So with that change noted and no others, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Carried. Any business arising, folks? Okay, the next item is the Corporate Services and Public Works Report, and I believe Councillor Lane is starting.
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda this evening is the invoices for approval. The committee recommends that the following invoices totaling $224,479.74 be approved for payment. Council, as you can see there in your kit, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane and seconded by Councillor Rice. A question from Councillor Antle.
I think it's more of a, I'm just trying to clear up the Canadian Navy. I noticed for it's $38,441. I mean, that seems to be a substantial amount for city days. I think maybe next year, I know we budgeted for it, but I think next year, I mean, $38,000 seems to be a sizable chunk of change. And I think we should take a look at that next year and try to find some other alternative measures. You know, it seems to be, it was one of the biggest costs for city days. It seemed to be saying, you know, yeah, it seems to be huge. I mean, $38,000, you know, is there any way maybe we can use St. David's Field again or the stage there? I'm just asking, but I know it's for budget consideration. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we're on budget for the project. So, but we have to approve the invoice. I guess that's the matter at hand. Any further questions? Hearing none. All in favor of Councillor Lane's motion? And those opposed? Thank you. Carried. Back to you.
The second item on our agenda is the payment register and purchase card report. For the information of council, the following payment register for July 25th to August 8th, 2024 totaled $1,600,597.34, and that was for information purposes only. And I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. And your worship, number 3 on our agenda is our calendar. One second now, I get to scroll up here. So our calendar is up, this will be our updated calendar for 2024 Public Council Meeting calendar. So the reason for the update is because we're working back from our budget. I guess when we bring the budget down this fall regarding timing. So the changes to the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends that the revised 2024 Public Council Meeting calendar be approved as presented. I so move. Do I have to move that one? Yeah, I so move.
Moved by Counselor Rice, thank you, and second by Counselor Lane. This is more to align the council calendar from September through to budget. Budget this year will be brought down on December 10th. All in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Back to you.
Thank you. Next one is our information. Number 4 is our Public Works status report. The following status report is provided for information. So under our roads division, work continues on our asphalt repairs, our street sweeping, our maintenance holes and catch basin repairs. Our lawn repairs are completed for 2024. Under our parks division, work is continuous on landscaping, bed maintenance, flower planters and hanging baskets maintenance, maintenance of sports fields, parks and open space mowing. Powers Pond Trail upgrade continues. Our site work for the playground on Stone Gate Crescent is ongoing. Commemorative bench and tree program installations are underway. Under our fleet division, our motor vehicle inspections on all heavy equipment trucks are ongoing, and service and maintenance continue. Under our UTM division, the general calls are for plug sewers, service locates, new water and sewer service inspections, our camera inspections, troubleshooting, and water and sewer repairs. And just an update, actually found out from a meeting on Monday that we did locate one of our major leaks in the city of our 2 from our Director Dallamont. And that one has now been repaired. And we're still trying to locate one that's a major one in the city. And they're working very hard to get that one located and repaired as well. Also, our hydrant flushing is ongoing. Our leak detection is continuing. Our valve exercising is ongoing. Our catch basin cleaning is always an ongoing work process. Lift station inspections and maintenance are ongoing as well. Working on conjunction with PED and our capital work projects, trying to clean up some of the streets in the city. Our water levels at Babel's Big Pond of August 5th is 2024 are attached there in your calendar, and levels are pretty consistent and pretty good. And that's it for our report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Counselor Locke.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Just looking here at our Babel's Big Pond water levels. I know in the last public meeting, Councillor Lane brought up the issue of water conservation measures in the city of Mount Pearl and that. And I'm actually surprised that the water levels are as high as they are in Babel's Big Pond, because I'm just thinking from my own personal perspective out at our cabin, our pond out there is probably down 18 to 20 inches, which is quite considerable. So I would have expected a lower drop. I'm delighted it's not. But I'm just curious, maybe Director Dallamont, I'm not expecting him to have the data now, but if we could get the data of water consumption by month, does residential water consumption go down with the seasons? Like, I'd like to know the effectiveness of our water conservation orders, like, you know, over the last number of years. And I don't expect it now, but can I just request that perhaps that be brought forth? There you go. Yeah.
Sure. So it's a great question. Actually, it was discussed in our committee yesterday about the numbers. I don't know if it's I think it may be a direct result of all the neighboring municipalities that are getting on board with their leak detection. I think that's a big part of it for sure, which makes sense given the volumes at Babel's Big Pond. But to answer one of your questions, I get a report daily on the actual volume of water that the entirety of the city of Mount Pearl uses. And you'll see in fluctuations, of course, that up and down, and that's been like that for a long time. And I guess it's just a trend that we see. But Councillor Rice mentioned that we found a significant leak that was repaired last week. So that leak alone is somewhere in the vicinity of 150 gallons a minute. So to put that in perspective, like, every minute of every day of every hour continuously, that was leaking that amount of water, which adds up to a significant volume of water and in turn, a significant cost savings to the city.
So my request was, I know you get the daily measures. I'm interested to see if our water conservation measures, do the data support that it's effective? Our residents, because I still see some residents watering their lawns and washing down their driveways and all this sort of stuff. So I'm just wondering if the data show that the water conservation measures are having the effect that we're hoping they're going to have. And I'm delighted to hear that our lead in water conservation, with our leak detection, which I know has been hugely successful here and has saved us over $1 million in water bills. I'm delighted to see that our neighboring municipalities are adopting the measures that the city started. So, because again, we share this regional water supply, so it's essential that we all do part. But I'm just looking for data to ensure, I'd like to see the data of water consumption in line with the Bay Bulls Big Pond grant. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, because the pond level reflects not just consumption, but also intake, right? From new rain, right? Okay, Planning, Engineering, Development Committee report. Councillor Antle to start.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll do the first four, then I'll pass it on to my colleague, Councillor Rice. Number one is investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, multi-streets upgrading request for approval. It's Birch Avenue contract change order number 2. It's the installation of a safety handrail. The committee was advised that a new storm sewer has been installed with a head wall adjacent to the walkway trail on a small stream. The height of the head wall is below the standard and would require a safety handrail, but due to the location of the head wall and for the safety reasons, a safety hand wall will need to be installed. The Planning and Engineering Development Committee recommends approval of a contract change order number 2 payable to Dexter Construction for the installation of a safety handrail at Birch Avenue in the amount of $4,942.85, HST included, and I so move.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Rice.
Number 2.
All in
Yes.
favor? Sorry, just making sure there was nobody had a question. And those opposed? And that's carried. Back to you.
On the paid committee, everything is approved, Your Worship. The Olympic Drive resurfacing. Good news, the road is done, complete. And this is contractor change order number 9, additional work completed. The committee was previously advised that the tender for the Olympic Drive resurfacing was awarded to Farrell's Excavating in the amount of $798,933.75, HST included, on July 25th, 2023. As part of the ongoing management of this contract, Engineering Services requesting the approval of an addition to this contract in the amount of $41,498.88, HST included, to account for manhole adjustments and additional flag hours. The Planning, Engineering, Development Committee is recommending approval for change order number 9 payable to Farrell's Excavating in the amount of $41,498.88, HST included, to account for manhole adjustments and additional flagger hours, and I so move.
Thank you both, Councillor Antle and Councillor Rice. Question from Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question here for this change order. I know it says, the 41,494.88 is for manhole adjustments and additional flagger hours. Like, manhole adjustments are a part of normal street work. And again, maybe they have come through here, but my memory tells this is not a common occurrence here. Like, I don't remember seeing a lot of change orders for manhole adjustments because they're a part of doing the street work. So I'm curious what percentage or what component of the 41,494 was for manhole adjustments, and if I could get some clarity on what had to be done here. And do we normally get change orders for manhole adjustments, or is this something specific to this particular project, Mayor?
Director Antle, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Locke. This is not a usual occurrence. In our unit price contracts for street upgrading, there is a standard amount for manhole adjustment. And I believe the number, if my memory serves right, is 300 millimeters of correction or an adjustment to a manhole that's in an existing street. That's based upon if there's no extensive or further deterioration. We're accommodating for a certain, if you want to call it, normal amount of deterioration over time. In the case of Olympic Drive, during the course of the work, the extent of the deterioration was more extensive than what we would call our usual amount. And each manhole was indeed more extensive than 300 millimeters. It was significantly more. And that adjustment was therefore required during the upgrading to correct underneath the manholes. There's a significant amount of concrete rings and whatnot that actually build the basin that's underneath the manhole cover. And that extent of work was required. It's a significant amount because it's not just the concrete, it's removing the stone that's around there, rebuilding the concrete top of it. There's a name for it, but I won't get into that, but it's the top of the manhole, and then that's fixed and replaced.
Under normal circumstance, in our normal contracts, we'd have an estimate, like you said, we allow for up to 300 millimeter deterioration. But in this particular case, it exceeded that, hence the change order. Perfect. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Mayor.
Motion on the floor, but Councillor Rice is next.
No, I had one question for Director Rantle as well. I noticed that the streets are done now, so is there a timeline for the lines to be on that road? Painted on there?
Thank you, Councillor Rice. We'll paint them as soon as we can. These are pending weather and whatnot, but I mean, yes, they will be painted fairly soon. It's through a separate contract, so we have a line painting contract in the city.
All right, thanks, everybody. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And we have a motion carried. Thank you.
And number 3, janitorial services for city facilities, TP-24-020 is a contract recommendation. The existing tender for janitorial services expired this year, and a new tender for janitorial services, city facilities, TP-24-020 was issued and closed on June the 12th, 2024. 4 bids were received. The lowest qualified bid was Phil Robin Janitorial Limited for the bid of $447,896.48 HST included. The duration of this contract shall be from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026. Should the start date be delayed for any reason so that the number of cleanings is reduced, the value of the contract will then be reduced proportionally. Regardless of the start date, the contract expiry date shall be June the 30th, 2026. The city reserves the right to extend the contract by incrementals of 1 year for a period of no more than 2 years upon the same terms and conditions. The Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends the contract for janitorial services, city facilities, TP-24-020, to be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Phil Robin Janitorial Limited, for the amount of $447,896.48 HST included. And I so move.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Rantle. Thank you. Second by Councillor Rice. Questions? I'm wondering, Councillor Fry, does this include non-buildings like porta potties and sports fields? Go ahead.
How did you know what I was going to say? Actually, that's my question. Can this contract include our sports fields and the washroom facilities in our sports fields? I've had a lot of residents reach out this summer about the disrepair, I guess, or the uncleanliness of some of our washrooms and our sports fields, lack of toilet paper, lack of hand soap. Just wondering if maybe this can be included in this particular contract. Is that possible?
Anything is possible. Director, I think there's 2 scopes that are at play here, right? There's the city buildings and facilities that are typically done through this process, but there's another process too for via the user groups, via the public works crew. Can you just talk about that segregation for a minute? Any possible changes would have to be looked at by committee, of course, but when we talk about men's softball tonight, they're going to be down there playing softball. I believe they're responsible for their own bathrooms. Is that not true?
So just to the men's softball, they are responsible for their own internal washrooms inside the building, Public Works looks after 2 outside washrooms that facilitate that area. As for the addition to the janitorial service, I think that had to be discussed outside of here.
I understand that. I understand that this is more complex than what we're talking here now. And I also understand that it's challenging to try and keep up on the washroom facilities during peak recreation time. But, you know, cleanliness is something that's really important. And I'd like to see if we can revisit and figure out how we can just improve on this. It's important. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks, Councillor Fry. Thank you, Director. And I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? And that contract is good. Thank you. Moving on to Councillor Antle.
Last one from me, Your Worship, then I'll pass it on to Councillor Rice. This has to do with property maintenance orders, and you see them in your kit. I won't read them out. It's for 5 Montgomery Street and 83 Commonwealth Avenue. With regards to 5 Montgomery Street, in the Committee of Whole meetings of July 23rd and July 30th, committee discussed the issues of property maintenance of 2 properties and have subject to numerous complaints. With regards to 5 Montgomery Street, the property at 5 Montgomery Street was noted to have significantly overgrown vegetation on the front lawn so as to be unsightly to the public view. Committee recommended the city proceed to issue a property maintenance order attached to these 2 property owners, and the public works staff proceed to mow the lawns at the expiry of the order. Committee approves the orders to be issued and recommend that City Council ratify at the next public meeting, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle, second by Councillor Rice. Orders in place, need to be ratified. Any questions? Councillor Rice?
Yeah, I just want to speak on this one for a second. I do believe, I mean, I'm glad this is coming here to public, and I'm glad we're taking this direction with this, with these issues, because, I think it's the city's due diligence and our council's due diligence to, we just can't turn a blind eye to this kind of thing anymore. It's so much, this has been ongoing for such a long time in the city with these 2 properties for example, these 2 properties been ongoing for many years in the city, and they're ran down. They're not kept up by. It could be owned by an owner and living there, or it could be owned by an owner and renting it out. No odds what the case is. I think it's our due diligence and the city's due diligence to, on an ongoing basis going forward, to really address these concerns. Because we can say in NIMBY, not in my backyard, but I mean, if I was a councillor or if anybody in this room was living next to someone that had a bad property not being kept up, or property that was run down, grass high, we got properties in the city with windows boarded up with plexiglass and board and stuff like that, and in my opinion, that's not good enough. So I'm glad we're taking this direction, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the next few days. By putting the order through. And going forward, I'd like to see more of this done in the city. And if it comes to the point where a city got to go in there with our staff and mow the grass or whatever it is, so be it, and back charge the owner of the property. So I just wanted to speak on that, and I'm glad it's coming by our at public here tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. Over to you, Councillor Lane.
Yeah, I also wanted to comment. We live in such a beautiful city, and our people really take pride in living here. And we totally are understanding of the fact that during people's lives, there may become a point, a certain period of time when they have a hard time upkeeping their property. But these aren't cases of just a one-time complaint. These are cases of ongoing neglect to properties. And, it's really troublesome for people who live in the neighborhood, or even just people who are driving by, to see houses that are left in deplorable conditions. And that's why we're actively taking our role as a city and trying to get this situation rectified, because it's important to take care of your property for the people in your neighborhood and for the city as a whole. That's why the regulations exist. So.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I do support the orders coming through, but, just to caution that a lot of these circumstances are not cut and dry. We've dealt with, similar circumstances during my tenure on council. And it's not as black and white sometime as someone just can't mow their lawn or, you know, their fence is in disrepair. And it sometimes takes longer than we would like, but sometimes individual circumstances dictate that. There's personal circumstances that may arise from health issues, mental health issues, financial issues, and the like. And I just want to caution that it's not that out of neglect or turning a blind eye. Some of these are some of the issues we've dealt with in the past are complicated, where other agencies had to be called in and other supports had to be called in. And I understand the frustrations of neighbors in the areas sometimes. I fully appreciate that, you know, it's an eyesore. But sometimes we cannot disclose the details behind some of these cases. So I just want to throw that out there as well, that we're not the big bad bully coming in with a heavy stick and demanding this, that we are sensitive to the fact that sometimes it may take a little longer than we'd like for particular reasons. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you very much. Good discussion. The orders stand. You see the names, you've seen the address. This is not the first time these properties have come to our table. And we've been very understanding, very patient, and we do realize that, you know, sometimes circumstances prevent the homeowners or the owners of the property. I know one of the leases just it's not necessarily living in the house, but our residents expect a high standard, and that standard is, in our view, has been violated at these two addresses. And this is not the first time this has been talked about at our table, right? So we're not just following the political winds here. We're doing what we think is right for the city. And we've given, this is a last resort at the end of the day. And I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
And the second property maintenance order has to do with 83 Commonwealth Avenue. The property at 83 Commonwealth Avenue has received many complaints which have been discussed at committee meetings. The property is noted to be in dilapidated state with plexiglass and plywood in place of windows, significantly deteriorated exterior cladding and debris. Committee expressed concern about the person living there and the safety of the structure. The property owner has refused an inspection of the interior of the home to determine the full extent of the deficiencies. Committee recommended the city issue an order for the repair. It was noted that a development permit was issued over a year ago for the redevelopment of this property into a commercial office space. However, there has been no progress to date. Committee recommends that the city issue an order for the repair of the exterior of the property pursuant to the occupancy and maintenance regulations. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Randall, thank you, and seconded again. Thank you, Councillor Rice. Any hands up? No. Call the question. All in favor? Contraminded? That's carried as well.
And now I'll pass it over to Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Councillor Randall. Number 5 under our PED is our building and accuracy permit listing for July the 15th until to July the 26th, 2024. So the Planning, Engineering and Development Committee recommends that the residential and commercial building permits issued for this period showing a total construction value of $3,813,945 be approved, and further that the accuracy permit list be accepted as presented. You can see them in your kit there. Won't read them all out. Quite nice list. It's nice to see stuff being developed in the city, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Randall. Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? And carried.
Thank you, Worship. Number 6 is our development permit listing for July the 15th until July the 26th, 2024. So the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends that the following development permits be approved as presented for the period of July the 15th to the 26th, 2024. You will see development permit there in your kit. It's for Pearlview Residential Subdivision, 76, 78, and 80 LaSalle Drive. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice. Thank you. Second by Councillor Randall. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And next one is our information purposes for our PED meeting. It's our capital projects update. We're happy to say that our Olympic Drive, as discussed a few minutes ago, is in final completion stage, which was completed the weekend past. So I guess once the The lines are on now. They'll be completed. That's done by a different contractor. So it's nice to see that project finished up. It was a bit of a I guess, kerfuffle trying to get everything organized there with traffic going back and forth. And, I think the right decision was to shut that down the weekend. So traffic was, I guess traffic was stopped going through and they completed. So it was nice to see that done. And that's it for report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Recreation, Community Safety. I think Councillor Locke has taken the first two.
Thank you, Mayor. Yep, we have three here. I'll take the first two, and then Councillor Fry will conclude our report. The first is our outdoor movie in the park, slated for this Thursday, August 15th. Trolls Band Together. It's going to be the show. Of course, it's weather dependent, but looking at the forecast, it's supposed to be sunny skies and a high of 20 degrees. So it might require a little fleece or a little sweater that night, but it'll be a great show. It's always a nice turnout. So absolutely. So we look forward to seeing as many of our residents and visitors to the city to come out and enjoy a lovely movie in our beautiful Central Park there, St. David's. The second one has to do with our T-Railway Sundown Series, August 22nd. Bondi Yoga on Thursday, August 22nd. Instructor Michelle, am I pronouncing that right? Bodhi? Anyone help me? B-O-D-H-I? Bodhi, thank you. Yoga in Mount Pearl. Join us at the Forest Avenue cul-de-sac, 6 to 7 p.m. Again, as a part of our T-Rail Sundown Series. This yoga session is scalable to all levels, so from beginners to experts. We just ask that you bring along a yoga mat and some water, and again, weather permitting. So I haven't seen the forecast for that far out, but the way our weather's been going, hopefully it'll be another nice evening. And I'll pass over to Councillor Fry now to speak about perhaps the reopening of our swimming pool and the swimming lessons. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, just momentarily, I think Councillor Antle wanted to talk about, were you down for Wayland Wellness? They had a fitness class down there last Thursday night.
I must say it went over really well. They had one a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a yoga class just prior to that. But one thing I think we need to address, because people told me there was more traffic down there than it was at the flower serves. So I think it's really, really fabulous that we have that. I mean, people really go into this yoga, but we need to control traffic some way. Right? Otherwise, I think it's a huge success. I mean, it seems to be people liked it anyhow. I wasn't there, but thank you.
Thank you. And it's hard to believe it's the middle of August and we're here talking about fall registration, but here it comes. Registration dates for fall 2024 for the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence Program is coming up, and swimming lessons and general programs. So for the information of the public, the September registration dates for the fall programs are as noted below. Now, this information will be posted throughout all of our social media platforms as well. So the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence Fitness classes for residents will open on Tuesday, September 3rd at 1 p.m. And open registration will then take place Thursday, September the 5th at 1 p.m. General fitness programs for residents on Tuesday, September the 3rd at 5 p.m. And open registration is Thursday, September the 5th at 5 p.m. And finally, swimming lessons for residents will open on Wednesday, September the 4th at 5 p.m. And open registration will then follow on Friday, September the 6th at 5 p.m. And that's it for our committee this evening, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My gosh, we're talking about budget dates over the beginning of the meeting. Now we're talking about fall registration. Next, Director Dalamato talking about the progress he's made in fixing, well, not he, but public works staff in fixing all the snow clearing equipment, right? So we're getting there and the cycle continues. Good meeting, folks. I just wanted to say, as we begin the roundtable, I'm going to turn to you very shortly, Councillor Lane, to start it off. But I do want to say a very warm goodbye to one of our directors who is retiring. Not today. He's in retirement week. I think on Friday at some time. Jerry Antle will be leaving the building. I hope it's not for the last time. Your dedication to your city, the community you grew up in, is second to none. And I know you've shared this table with your brother for close to 7 years now, but you came to work in 2011. And I must say, to keep it simple, to keep it short, Jerry, It's been a real pleasure to work for you, and I really appreciate me personally as a member of council, the professional advice, the camaraderie, and some of the dark humor stories that we've shared over the years. We won't get into the details now, but great to call you a friend. Hope to see you in the future. And I just want to say, as I open up the roundtable, the best of luck in the future to you, Mandy, and your extended family. And now I'll turn it over to Councillor Lane. Thank you.
Just a couple items for me. First, I too wanted to say a happy retirement to Director Antle. Getting to know you over the last 3 years has been a pleasure. You're such a valuable member to our city and our team, and you're truly going to be missed. But you deserve now to have time to relax and spend time with your family. So congratulations and enjoy. Secondly, I just wanted to mention the swimming lessons. So recently our pool had to close down for a couple of weeks to be drained and refilled due to some glass breaking and getting into the pool. And it's very unfortunate that something like that happened. And I know there was a lot of talk amongst residents. Many were very understanding, and this was a complete accident. These things do happen, unfortunately. But there was also a lot of people who were angry about the length of the process and the missed lessons. But unfortunately, if glass gets in the pool, the staff has no choice but to drain it and then rebalance the chemicals and refill it. And it is a process. So I would say a thank you to our staff for getting that done in a timely manner. Lessons are now resuming. And not only that, but a lot of feedback came about concern for missed lessons because, of course, the kids have only a short session of lessons per term. And missing a couple can really throw off kids, especially the young ones who are now just learning how to swim, and then could cause them to not be able to pass to go to the next lessons because they forget what they've learned. So I reached out to Jason, and he was able to organize it with staff that they were able to make up for some of those lessons. And I just think that that's fabulous because I don't think that people realize the amount of work that goes into rescheduling and trying to get that situated. And I think it's just amazing that everyone was able to pull it together and get it happening. So huge thank you to Jason and for staff for organizing that. And I think it's great that the lessons are going to resume, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of excited kiddos coming up this week to resume their swimming lessons. And that was it for me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So Director Collins, no glass in the pool from now on. It's very tricky in that a bottle of some liquid could get dropped and then shut down both pools. You want to elaborate a little bit? I know the pool draining is complicated because it can break tiles, it can damage the infrastructure. Then you've got heating, and Councillor Lane referred to chemical balancing, but a little bit of glass can do a lot of damage to a facility and its operation. And I think Councillor Lane spoke very well about the impact it had on some of our customers and our residents.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Lane, for the comments. It is complicated to make sure when you drain the pool, ensure there was no glass. In this case, we did find glass in both pools. Where it occurred was right in the little kind of laneway in between the two pools. And it was in a child's book bag that the glass bottle was. So they may or may not have known it was there. So it's not always black and white or really straightforward of how it happened. It is very unfortunate. And when it comes to refilling it, that's really when you also need to be very cautious that if you fill it too quickly, the pressure of all that water on the concrete and on the tiles can lead to cracking. So it is quite the process. And we have adjusted our policies as well when it comes to bags and where they're allowed on the pool deck. And we did consider and talk about not allowing them at all, but there's also complications with that. But we have adjusted our policies to help avoid this going forward as well. Again, always kind of continuous improvement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds good. And over to you, Councillor Fry.
Thank you. And just a couple of things for me. I know I've talked about the Safe Seniors Walk, but I want to talk about it again because it's such a great program. So we have another Safe Seniors Walk that will take place on Thursday, August the 15th from 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. And of course, this is weather pending. A combination of paved and hard packed gravel has been chosen for this walk. The meeting location for this date is the parish of the Church of Good Shepherd off Richard Nolan Drive. And everyone is welcome to join the walk, which is hosted by our Municipal Enforcement Division. And that's always well attended. Also, the city welcomes all players, coaches, officials, volunteers, and fans of the 2024-18 under 18 National Baseball Championships. And this is taking place from August 15th to August 18th. Many of these games will take place at Team Guju Baseball Field on Arena Road. To view the schedule, visit the website www.baseball.ca. So that's pretty easy to remember, baseball.ca. And we encourage you to come and cheer on the players for what promises to be an exciting and memorable event. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, taking place in our new baseball field that we're getting ready for our to host the games next year. And finally, for me, I need to send a heartfelt thank you to Director Andel, because he taught me everything I needed to know about infrastructure and public works. And I'm very proud to say I do know what a 1/4 inch minus is now. But walking into, when I first got elected, there were so many things that I had to learn, and I had to learn fast. And Director Andel was so professional, always professional. And I think he saw that in me, and he knew that I was willing to learn. And he always explained everything in such a way that made sense to me and that I was able to grasp it. And I am so grateful for that. And you will always be part of here for me. And I wish you all the best and a happy, healthy, wonderful, enjoyable retirement. And I still have your phone number. Okay. Thank you.
Well said. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of items as well, but I too want to start off with Director Andel. I've known Jerry long before his time here at the city, but I got to know him best over the last 13 years, having served on committee with him, I think, for probably 6 or 8 years. So we've had some great conversations, both about city issues and our family issues and philosophy on life and stuff like that. So I will dearly carry those memories with me. I mean, Jerry he just brought a systematic approach to many of the operations at the city. When I served on council at the time, the first thing he brought in was level of service for snow clearing. And it was a document that was, again, he said, you tell me what level of service the city wants, and I can provide that. So systematically laid out, if you wanted 6 hours after the snow ended, or if you wanted 12 hours after the snow ended, or if you wanted 24 hours after the snow ended, he could tell you the cost for the gasoline, the fuel, the salt, the human resources. So that was a great addition. And of course, his whole concept about asset management. I mean, I forget, he can tell me, I'm sure, the hundreds of millions of dollars that the city owns in physical assets and the importance of in our budgeting process. You got to plan for that. So systematically, we know now when a pipe is at end of life, or a shingle is at end of life, or a sidewalk is at end of life, and in our budgeting process, we look down the road for that. So that was, again, a tremendous addition to city operations. So again, I've enjoyed working together with you. The position will be filled, but you will never be replaced. And I wish you all the best and many peak experiences with your lovely family as you move forward. Thank you. Just 2 other items before we pass it over to Councillor Bill. Of course, we've been having our Centennial Park Summer Concert Series here outside City Hall in our little park here. On Friday, August 16th from 12 to 1:30, we're going to have a live local performance by Selena Boland, and her musical influence includes traditional Newfoundland, folk, and 60s rock. So that promises to be a good show. Again, weather is looking good for this Friday. A week from then, on the 23rd, again from 12 to 1 p.m., a live performance by the Salt Beef Junkies. And they're comprised of 3 young men who love to play a mix of music, keeping the Newfoundland traditional music alive and well. So that'll be a great show. Also, on the 23rd from 1 to 1:30, we'll have a live performance by Joe Fifield. Joe's a folk rock singer, songwriter, and he's been sharing his music throughout British Columbia and Ontario for the past 35 years. So They aim to be great shows. And the last thing I want to raise, I know we talked about, Councillor Rice brought up street markings on Olympic Drive, but I just want to inquire about, and they may be in place, and I apologize if they are, these reflectors that we had planned. I know it was in one of our contracts that they embed into the paveway, so they reflect in the wintertime. And I'm just wondering, have they been installed in some areas in the city? I know there were some areas, for example, some years back, coming through the industrial park in the wintertime, when the lines are not visible, it's a challenge there, and it's a little, people express concern about that. So we were going to try a pilot project to put some of those reflectors there that will enhance the safety. So I'm just wondering, A, if they've been installed yet. If not, will they be in for this winter season?
Thank you, Councillor Locke. No, they haven't been installed at this point. There has been considerations about how to do and where. And I would say that there's some budgetary questions first that need to be addressed before they start a consideration. So we have to bring that further to PED committee in determination. We have a contract that's in place that we've included some of these. But to the extent that we have anticipated, it's not within that particular contract. So we'll bring that further to PED committee and bring it back to council for discussion.
Thank you, folks. Councillor Antle has been on council now for 7 years. And he was always reluctant to be on the same committee that Director Antle was on. Because, you know, he used to say to me, like, we're brothers, right? You know, we see a lot of each other and, you know, I just don't mind serving on another committee. So about a year ago, Councillor Antle joined the committee. And now a year later, his brother's leaving. How can we explain that, Councillor Bill?
Told you, one of us had to go. As Councillor Locke said earlier on, he met Director Antle many years ago. Well, I met him. I told him, but he was a real crybaby when I met him. So, all right. But it's been a pleasure working with Jerry. I mean, I guess maybe when I got elected 7 years ago, I wondered how this relationship was going to work. And it worked out really well. I mean, I was really impressed with Jerry, your professionalism, right? When we go into meetings, he'd always call me Councillor Antle. I really like that. You can continue on that, right? But he called me Councillor Antle. Yeah, you can continue that, right? But I was always impressed that he was always totally professional. Every meeting, every day, you were well prepared, well thought out. And, you know, one of the things you always kept going, never brought it home. Like Jerry never called me about council meetings, after council, this kind of stuff. He kept it at the table, and that's the way it should be. It was very well done. You know, you lead by example, and you lead a great team behind. And it was a pleasure working for the past 7 years, and I never even started to cry. How's that? Yes. So it was a pleasure working with Jerry, and now you can back to call me Billy anytime at all. All right. All right. For me, I had a meeting, just a couple of things for me. This morning I had a meeting with the Mount Pearl Old Friends Dance, and this group is basically from Rick Brown, and he started that. There's a web page, there's a Facebook page if you grew up in Mount Pearl, and you know they put in a lot of time. I mean, they're putting a lot of effort, and the money is going to be raised all for the food bank. There's less than 100 tickets sold right now, or less than 100 tickets left, I'm sorry. All right. They have somebody going out, one of the ladies are going around the city now getting donations, and everything raised throughout that night will be going directly to the food bank. And they're expecting to make a lot of money for the food bank, and it's a real good, and it's for St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank, and however they deal with that. But it's a real good thing. I mean, it's a great jump for the Christmas season to get it done. So if anybody's looking for tickets, just give Rick Brown a call, and he'll certainly help you out. My number 2 thing here is the Mount Pearl Blades, and it's a great thing. They do it every year. They have a used equipment sale. And you know, hockey is so expensive as it is, but they have on Tuesday, August the 20th, and it's really successful. So you have to get there early from 7 to 9. It's in the G room, 3rd floor of the Glacier. It's pretty easy. It's all on our webpage. And you know, this is only cash only, and most items cost between $5 and $20. I mean, if you're, you know, we all know how expensive hockey is. This is great. And if you have any hockey equipment that you want to drop off, they'd certainly appreciate it because that's what hockey is all about. And you can drop this equipment off August the 15th from 12 to on August the 20th. I'm sorry, I'm just reading this. Business hours at the Glacier. And you can drop it off. Anybody else, just give us a call. And again, good luck in your retirement, Jerry. When they say spend time with your family, I know where you live too. Thank you.
Well said. Over to you, Councillor Rice.
Good job there, Billy. Good job. No, I just want to start off by saying, express my sincere happy. No, I want to say, all I can wish Jerry is the best of health and happiness to you. And like Councillor Black mentioned a few minutes ago, when you're in a position that you're in, I mean, most people will dot their I's and cross their T's and check everything twice. When every meeting we ever went into, when I was on PED for a couple of years myself and Councillor Fry put together on co-chairs. And, we really enjoyed on that committee together. And we had, you were so professional, everything that you ever done. For my 3 years on council now, it was not only professional. You did everything 150%. No 100%. Everything was done 150%. And I certainly admired you for what you've done and what you've done for the city of Mount Pearl. And you're certainly, like the mayor mentioned a few minutes ago when he started speaking, you're certainly going to be missed. You're certainly going to your professionalism, and like Councillor Locke said, you'll be replaced, but you won't be replaced because whoever comes in to fill your shoes will have a big shoes to fill. So I just want to say congratulations, enjoy your retirement. I hope you and Mandy have many happy years of health and happiness, and I'm sure you'll be spending lots of time with your daughter Emma and your son Patrick. So all the best, and you're going to be missed here at the City of Mount Pearl. Brother Bill. So just a couple of things for me to add as well. I don't know if anybody know how many people know this, but let's talk about compost. Talking about our, I guess our grass clippings that when you do the lawn, grass clippings, anything that's that you can compose of. We have actually free bags. They're paper bags. And why we use paper bags instead of plastic for yard waste is because paper bags are composed. You can bring them to the landfill. They can be turned into mulch, reducing landfill volumes. Plus, it's free to dispose of. So we bring that to the city. There's no cost to the city for bulk garbage. And the waste is bought to Robin Hood Bay, which means a big saving for our tonnage. I notice a lot of people that put the bags in their garbage, their bulk garbage. Please stop doing that because it's going to the landfill. With the bag, with I guess the clippings going in a paper bag compared to a plastic bag, it will be composed in the landfill. So it makes a difference to your yard waste. And you can, like I mentioned, you can get free bags here at City Hall and also at the Summit Center. So they're there whenever you want to go get them. And the last one I want to mention is the City of Mount Pearl are partners with the 2025 Canada Games, and the kickoff was last Thursday, I think it was. Myself and Councillor Antle went to the kickoff. We are volunteering, and I know the rest of council are volunteering with Canada Games 2025. But I want to say it was a phenomenal event. 1 year out, myself and Councillor Antle and Director Collins attended, yeah, because you went with us as well, and it was quite the event. Katina LeMay Dawn was there. She was, I guess, the representative that they had selected for the kickoff, and it was quite the event. And I know next year is going to be quite the busy time for the City of Mount Pearl with several events. I know we got the baseball field and we got wrestling at the Glacier, and I think our soccer field is being used for practice, right? So anyway, looking forward to that. And Director Antle, all the best. Happy to have you around and going to miss you.
Thank you much. I'm not going to adjourn the meeting. I'm looking over at Director Antle over there. Like I said, born and raised in Mount Pearl, living next door these days. Director, would you like to say a few words? Because there's some fond memories I know we can give you the floor for a little while, but I think the experience with the Antle family and you working with the city has been a very positive one. Over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's a lot of things I could say, but I'm going to keep it quite brief. I've had a very rewarding public service career. My career has been entirely in public service. It fits my value system. I want to emphasize, it started in Mount Pearl and it ends in Mount Pearl. So when I started my engineering work terms, I actually worked for 2 work terms in Admiralty House. And it was an office then for Newfoundland Labrador Housing. And for the first summer here, and it's interesting, when I came back to Mount Pearl, I came in the middle of winter. I'm leaving in the middle of summer. When I came here in the summer work terms with Newfoundland Labrador Housing at Admiralty House, we were doing all the lot sales and the planning for all of the development in Mount Pearl. And I remember the summer times in Mount Pearl. I remember surveying and in through Powers Pond, through what we called at the time Mount Pearl Newtown, the development in Mount Pearl. And it seems like yesterday. There was so much development and activity, and to have the opportunity to come back now and work with the city of Mount Pearl for the past dozen years or so, and particularly bringing together what Councillor Locke refers to as asset management. That's my mantra. That's what I believe in. There's been a lot of highlights working with the city of Mount Pearl in my career. I've worked in Labrador for a few years. I worked on the West Coast for 15 years with the province, doing incredible, exciting projects. If you're into infrastructure, some very large bridges in Labrador, construction throughout the West Coast. To come back here in the city that I call home and complete my career, it's so rewarding. And to have the opportunity to work with you all together, this council and previous councils, it's kind of, I'll say this, I've sat here for the past dozen years or so. It's kind of intimidating when you sit here and you look at, I counted 10 mayors of the city of Mount Pearl, and they're watching us every single meeting, just like you all are. And to have the opportunity to contribute to this great city and to be able to do that, I couldn't have asked for any more. And I thank you all for your kind words. It's been great. I look forward to seeing so much more, and I will remain in contact. So I'll be watching.
And on motion of Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Fry, we are adjourned.